Good morning. Thank you so much for sharing at the EMDR Europe Conference. You're contributing to our great successes, well, I'm really glad that you're doing it. In order to help you along, I've got a short presentation on sharing is easy because sharing actually is easy. So let's go into it. But I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Michael Hase from Germany, and I'm chair of the research committee and mostly also chair of the scientific committee of the conferences. Okay, but let's go into the topic of sharing is easy. Thank you again. As I said, you are contributing, and really, it is easy. If it says you as a chair are responsible for the session, don't worry. Most sessions are running very smoothly. You can easily observe another chair in a session prior to you, to the one you are chairing, so you get an impression of how colleagues do it. Well, and of course, you have seen it so many times at the conferences, so actually you know what chairing is on. There are some, but not many duties. Well, you need to prepare yourself. It's on introducing the speaker. It's on paying attention to the time frame, keeping speakers within the time frame. There are some issues during the lecture. And of course, an important duty is to kickstart and manage a discussion, including the Q&A. But regarding the Q&A, there is a brilliant video by Kuoni who's introducing me into the Q&A, and together with a link to this video, I will also share a link for the Q&A video prepared by Kuoni. So you're really fine and you're good prepared for whatever comes up. And then, of course, you have to close the session. And don't forget to evaluate the session, evaluate the speaker after the session, and give it to Kuoni staff members. Well, please observe a dress code, especially with a keynote. If you're chairing a keynote, it's on being dressed according to the importance of the event. For instance, as the president of EMDR Europe, Olivier Pierre-Formaron, is dressed in no sneakers, please, but well, otherwise being dressed accordingly to the importance of the event. And become familiar with the Q&A system and provide PC if necessary. And as I said, there's a video tutorial, and I will provide the link together with a link to this introduction. Please, before the session starts, so you have to be there, well, 15 minutes before, check if tech staff is available or how staff could be contacted if necessary, because there rarely are, but of course there could be a technical problem. Check if water is provided for the speaker or speakers and yourself, of course. Don't forget yourself and care for you. Check with the speaker on the introduction. You can ask what you as the session chair should tell, and check with the speaker how to handle discussions, when to ask questions in between or at the end. So then you're online with the speaker or speakers, and it's easy. Please check if necessary documents, for instance, the evaluation form is provided and ready, and just go over it. It's very easy to do. And of course, you take your place at the podium. At time to start, ask participants to sit down, close doors, be quiet, turn their mobiles off, etc. Introducing the speaker is important and, of course, a matter of etiquette. So you can prepare yourself beforehand by gathering some information on the conference website or internet. And as I said, please get in contact with the speaker and discuss with them how to introduce them, what to be mentioned, or if they would rather want to present themselves, which is also fine, if you can agree on that. Take a note of the most important points which you could read up. So and you don't have to deliver a speech. It's just on giving them the most important needed information. Be as short and precise as possible. The most important thing during the session is the time frame. So keeping the session within the time frame is probably the most important duty. And of course, in preparation, you agreed with your speaker how to inform them 10 minutes or 5 minutes prior to the end of session. Check with the speaker if questions within are allowed or if they want to have them in a block at the end, and communicate this to the audience. And as I said, you have to discuss a signal to signal the speaker time's running out. For instance, 5 fingers for 5 minutes. Well, so that's good help for the speaker. And if the speaker does not react, of course, you have to turn on your microphone, switch it off in between, but then turn on your mic and, well, just speak up and say, sorry, we are coming to the end. So you have to do it. And please calculate some time for questions at session end. As I said, yes, if necessary, with the microphone. And then it's important to start the discussion, because sometimes the audience is a bit timid and you need to, well, get it going. So the best thing to do is, during or listening to the presentation, you may stay at the podium or you can sit down in the audience if you get a better view on the slides. Of course, that's possible. So during the presentation, note 1 or 2 questions, easy questions. Easy questions, it's just on getting the Q&A going. And of course, it's very important to stay within the time frame. Remember, the room must be prepared for next sessions. Participants need to move from one room to the other. We have to keep that in mind. So we have to be punctual. Punctual in beginning the session and in ending the session. Well, of course, I said you could sit down if you get a view on the slides. I prefer to stay on the podium because you have a view on the audience. If it's a small auditorium and session's running fine, then you could move down. Check with online Q&A system. Answer questions. So that's better to stay where you are because you've got access to the Q&A. And make a list of questions to be transferred to the speakers at discussion. So you need a piece of paper and a pen. Monitor noise and disturbance. If there is too much disturbance, people leaving, doors clapping, intervene if necessary. And of course, you are the interface with tech staff if something is happening. You're not responsible for technical problems, just for getting in contact. Of course, you want to follow the presentation, but please always keep an eye on the audience. And as I said, prepare a question to kickstart the Q&A section of the discussion. And probably want to take some notes to fill out the evaluation after end of the session. Well, as I said, probably the audience is somewhat shy, so then it's good to have 1 or 2 questions and take a note during the presentation and ask the first question. And if you prepared while you're listening, that's easy. It may be a question or comment. Then handle the discussion, except the speaker has agreed to handle the discussion. That's also possible to discuss with the speaker. If you're the one to handle this, remember who's first, second, third. Ask participants to use the microphone. They have to, because online participants want to hear the question and answers as well. And sometimes it's necessary to repeat a question in order for the online audience to get it. And manage the Q&A system, bring in the questions which are the most important questions. Sometimes I answer questions during the session on the Q&A system if it's easy for me to do. Announce last question if time is running out. And of course, a question. Questions are allowed. A question is a question. A question is not a lecture. So sometimes you have to interrupt one of the colleagues who's not, well, they have, if they bring up questions, they have to stay in the time frame as well. Well, and closing the session, you have to thank speaker and audience. Probably you summarize important aspects for the development of EMDR therapy, very short. Remind the participant to fill out their evaluation form because they are evaluating the speaker. And sometimes the conference organization may ask you to make an announcement, and then please don't forget it. Well, and don't forget to evaluate the session with a provided form. Give feedback based on the notes you made. Well, and that's it. Sharing is easy. So thank you so much for acting as session chair at the EMDR Europe Conference. And if there are questions, don't hesitate to get in contact with me in order to have everything fine prepared for your participation as session chair. And again, thank you very much. You contributed to our success, and enjoy the conference. And hopefully it was a good experience for you, and I will see you again as session chair in one of the upcoming EMDR Europe conferences. Thank you very much for your attention.